Welcome to the party!
So basically we decided to rate all of the Gauntlet levels in order from worst to best. With the help of a friend of mine, we compiled this list to share with you. But before we begin, I want to go over some rules and layout of ranking to understand exactly how we decided to rank these levels. When judging a level, we must take everything into consideration. We will be judging each level on appeal. Is the level nice to look at? Are there any visual additions that make this level memorable or help improve the general experience? The appeal category for levels contributes to 42% of the overall score. We will be ranking each category from 1 to 10, 1 being the worst and 10 being the best. If it gets a 10, it gets the full credit. In this case, 4.2 points. If the number is less than 10, then we will take the category that it scored and take that percentage from the highest number. So let's say a level scores a 6. In that case, we will take 60% of 42, and that will be its score for that category. Each category is weighed differently than each other. For example, the music of the level does not impact its score as much as the layout. The formula for each category are displayed here. Boss rooms and coin levels use separate formulas, but overall scores are compared equally among all levels. After each category has been ranked for the level, we will add up all of its scores, and that will be the level's overall score out of 10. We will also turn that number into a percentage so you can see better. Appeal is 42% of the overall score, with a maximum of 4.2 points. The score of the level is a factor we are taking into consideration as well. We're basing this category off of the console release official soundtrack of Gauntlet Dark Legacy, as well as music has a maximum of 1.3 points, which is a total percentage of 13% of the level score. Length and layout are also important factors in ranking these levels. How difficult is it to navigate? Is the level too long or too short? Is the level dragging or repetitive? Layout contributes to 37% of the level score with a maximum of 3.7 points. Finally, there's the overall experience of the level. Sometimes a level is just fun to play, it might not have any particular reason. Only impacts 8% of the score with a maximum of 0.8 points. Boss cards look like this. Appeal and music are the same, but appeal contributes to 50% of this overall score. Music contributes to 15% of the score with a maximum of 1.5 points. We will also be ranking these stages based on the imagination used in each boss arena, which contributes to 30% of the score with a maximum score of 3 points. And finally, the size of the arena is 5% and 0.5 points. Just a disclaimer, we are not ranking the bosses themselves, we are only ranking their arena. We may do another video for the boss characters, but this is just for the stages in which they are fought. At the end of each analysis, we will display the scorecard. Scorecards look like this. It displays the score of each category along the total level score and percentage. Now for what we will be ranking. We will be ranking every level from Gauntlet Dark Legacy, including console exclusive areas. However, we will only be ranking the content within the Dark Legacy build of the zone. No content from Legends versions are disqualified, good or bad. So no, the Toxic Airship will not be ranked. Summoner's Tower will also not be ranked. Liminal coin levels count as levels and will be ranked, but they use a different type of scorecard displayed here. For coin levels, the appeal is 75% of the room. This is due to it being so short, with a maximum of 7.5 points. The music is 10% with a maximum of 1 point. We will also be ranking difficulty of each zone with a maximum of 1 point, 10%. And finally, we will be ranking the location of the door, because the door does contribute a lot to the overall experience of the level if it's very hard, which is 5% with a maximum of half a point. At the end of the list, we will present a chart of the realms as a whole to worst to best. This is affected by the overall average of the levels they contain. Each level will weigh this average differently than others, depending on the placement purpose of the level. Another rule is that we will not be docking points on a level due to what another level does. For example, we are not going to take points off a level because it is too similar to another. Each one gets its own look with fresh eyes. We may note if a level is similar to another, but it will not affect its score. And remember, these are just all our opinions, please remember. Without further ado, let's see what the worst level in Gauntlet Dark Legacy is.
You are now entering the gates of the Underworld.
When we first started,
Thinking about this list, I knew exactly where this level was going. The Underworld is the worst thing in this game. Nothing comes close. It's dull, there's nothing interesting to look at. It is the most generic interpretation of hell I've probably ever seen in a video game. Now, it does have nice textures over some of the entrances. I do like some of the other textures, like the pillars of faces and minor things like that, but apart from a few textures, there is really nothing of substance to look at. It's not eye rape or anything, but it's so generic, it's not even funny. As for the score, it's alright. Okay, real talk. I've got to go as far to say this is the worst song in the game. It was a tough pick between this and the Castle Treasury. Trust me, we'll get there. But in the end, I have to say the Underworld is worse. I'm not a fan of metal music, but extremely generic metal music is even worse. On a lighter note, you can't really hear it over the fighting, and that's another thing, the enemies. Oh my god, the enemies are not something that weighs in the level score, as we consider them part of the realm, rather than the zone. But the Underworld is a bit of an exception, as well. The realm is one level. The enemies of the Underworld are literally just improved versions of grunts we've already fought. I know the Temple did the same thing, and literally every other interpretation of the Temple and the Underworld and all the other Gauntlet games also do this, but it almost works there, but not here. No way in hell. And it's not like that the enemies they chosen even work here. The Ghosts and Fire Demons, sure. I can see that, but the Toxic Fiends and the Mirror Race, really? Okay then. Now, the layout. Oh my god. It is seriously it's just a straight path the whole time as you fight through everything to the end. The golems at the end are rather interesting, probably because they're at least original, but not only is it just a straight path, but it's a long one. The Underworld is way too long. Overall, the Underworld is just the worst thing in Gauntlet Dark Legacy without a doubt. But luckily, it's toward the end of the game, and you only have to do it once, so no runestone or anything. So yeah, here's the scorecard. Yikes.
You are now entering the web of the Queen Spider.
Most of the boss areas are nothing special, but the Spider Queen's web really takes the cake. While the Alpha Arachnid is an amazing boss in both design and technique, her arena is just, with a capital M. It's just a giant spider web surrounding a lifeless backdrop. Its shape's strange, there's nothing within it to make the fight interesting, and sometimes the Queen's coins can fly over the edge of the web out of reach, so that's cool. It's just disappointing, especially after an incredible the rest of the Forest Realm looks. If this place had a killer view of the canopy, I might reconsider, but where it stands now, yeah.
You are now entering the Throne of Scorn.
I'll admit, Scorn is a great boss. He's the main antagonist of the quest after all. But it's not hard to see why he left his throne in the Underworld. I find it a better place than the Spider Queens, but it's not really anything special. Garm's corpse in the background is a nice touch, but you really don't even see that until the fight ends. If I were to rank bosses, True Scorn wouldn't be near this high on the list, but this arena is kinda lame. So, Underworld. Yeah. Considering it's got 2 levels, both of which are in the bottom 3, not a good look. Dude, this is so much that could have been done here to make this place much better than it was. It's not the worst thing in the world, but for Gauntlet, it's just, come on, guys. Like, we know you could do better than this. I mean, it's not awful. Like, it's not a really dreadful experience. It's just the least fun in this game. Like, it's not bad. Like, actively bad. I don't think anything in Gauntlet's, like, bad. It's just not as good as it should be.
You are now entering Shadow Maze.
It doesn't take an expert to notice the drop in quality after the Dream World, as even the coin room sucks. Shadow Maze is the liminal space minigame connected to the battlegrounds. It can be reached through the Fortified Towers towards the exit. As I may have mentioned before, the coin rooms will be ranked differently compared to normal levels. Prime elements of the coin room include the difficulty, appeal, and door placement. The character it unlocks will not affect the score. Anyway, Shadow Maze is the most bland and unnecessarily difficult of all the coin rooms. It is no different than the rest of the battlegrounds, another bland series of trenches. However, the theme of this room is actually quite good. Very interesting sound for sure. The one thing that makes this level stand out is obviously the darkness. As you traverse the maze, you are completely blinded, which is a very cool effect. Wish we saw more of it within the game. Anyway, the maze is alright. The door is placed at the very end of the Fortified Towers, making it the most inconvenient door placement of all time, and also a pain if you're really trying to retry the level. And considering the difficulty, it really takes a toll. So yes, door placement could not be in a worse spot. As a whole, Shadow Maze just sucks. Nothing compared to the Underworld, but it's certainly the worst coin room, offering nothing special.
You are now entering Garm Citadel.
The battlegrounds are not great. I'm pretty sure that's no secret. Only one of the levels is above average. The coin level's trash, and the boss continues this reckless trend. Look, regarding on how do you feel about Garm as the final boss, his arena is just kinda generic. Besides Garm himself, what is there on screen that you can tell me that genuinely stands out in this setting? I really can't. I don't know. I guess I was expecting a little more from the Lair of the final boss. As I mentioned, I don't like metal music, but Garm's theme is actually pretty good. Fits the level well, sounds good, and it builds the intensity for the final battle. Now, it's not the best song in the game. I wouldn't even go as far to say it's the best boss song, but for what it's worth, it's alright. But the appeal of the arena just really hurts this one, so yeah. It's certainly not bad, but it could just do so much better, especially for the final boss of the game.
You are now entering the Lost Cave.
This placement might be controversial, but I do not like the Lost Cave. But honestly, I actually like it more than the next entry, but score-wise, the cave placed lower. Like the rest of the Mountain Kingdom, the cave is visually boring, and after 3 mountain levels, you won't want to look at another rock ever again, so this is just great. But each of these levels had at least something that kept them interesting. This one is just no. I don't mind mazes if the maze is visually interesting, but the Lost Cave is a good example of an uninteresting maze. Besides the use of the fire demons, there really isn't anything going on here. If I were to describe the Lost Cave in one word, it would be pointless. You could cut this level out of the realm and it would basically be the same. The Mountain Kingdom is a realm with 6 levels instead of 5, so it would almost be better. However, I am glad that the Lost Cave exists. While it's not a great experience, mediocre Gauntlet is better than no Gauntlet, I suppose. And lore-wise, it is an interesting location on paper, but the execution is just so dull. I suppose dull is the right word. Let's stick with that. The music is slow and uninteresting, more like volcanic ambience than actual music, but as far as ambience goes, it's good. Just kinda disappointing, especially after some of the amazing songs that Mountain Kingdom has produced. As I mentioned before, it's a maze, but not a very complicated one, and is the only reason it's not placed higher on this list. This level is fairly short. A friend of mine refers to this level as the chest level, and I totally see why, as there are a lot of chests, and the level is very aware of this too. It even provides you 2 sets of x-ray glasses for them. I guess at the end of the day, it's a nice place to farm some loot or get your health back up, but I could never see myself playing the Lost Cave just for fun.
You are now entering the Fortified Towers.
Alright, here we go. The Fortified Towers suck. Don't know what else to say. Like the rest of the battlegrounds, it's dull and boring. It's just so generic. God, it's generic. But I actually don't hate it as much as I used to. This was my least favorite level for a good while, but it's not like it's awful or anything. It's just forgettable. I mean, come on. Who remembers Gauntlet for the Fortified Towers? If I hadn't played it so many times, I probably couldn't tell you a thing about this level. It's just another battleground level. Now, music? Alright. It's fine. Honestly, it has parts I like and parts I hate. So I really have a love-hate relationship with the song. But if I'm listening to it on a soundtrack of the game, this is a song I typically skip. Take that as you will. Honestly, the level isn't too long,
It is a decent hike, but it's not Arctic docks or anything. I really have no complaints about the level's layout. It's fine. The Towers isn't a miserable experience, it's just a forgettable one. And with the rest of Gauntlet's high standards, it just doesn't hold up.
You are now entering the Tombs of the Undead.
So you might have picked up on that I'm not the biggest fan on cave levels. I just find them visually uninteresting. But sometimes it can be done okay. The final level of the Desert Lands actually has some pretty interesting visuals, and the mommy enemies are pretty cool too. But there is a problem. The tomb is too big. Yeah, this level is too long. Not the worst, trust me, we'll get there. And despite being okay for a cave level, the Tombs is undeniably the worst looking level in the Desert Lands. But it certainly scores higher than the Lost Cave because of some of the interesting visuals. The underground fog and temples really do help out. But it's just... what's the word? Boring. The Tombs of the Undead is just a better version of the Underworld. A mostly simple area with more onslaught than adventure. This is one of those levels that you're surprised your kill count is only 700. And with the length, you can probably imagine what I'm talking about. Like the Lost Cave, the music is more ambient than actual music, but this one is certainly better as it has some unique desert beats that do its favor. So yeah, not great, not terrible, but certainly could do better.
You are now entering Dagger Peak.
Dagger Peak is just, well, Dagger Peak. That's really it. We take the Valley of Fire, and all that made it beautiful in the magic, and replace it with generic volcano textures. That Dagger Peak. It's really not that bad, it's just kind of forgettable. But besides that, the music is actually quite good. Calm and dark, very traditional Gauntlet, but sometimes that's what fits best. The level is very simple, up a mountain. That's about it. Besides the door to the Gauntlet treasure room, it's pretty much just lacking. I mean, the metal jaw is something, but it's not enough. If there was some more of that, then it probably would have scored higher. I don't hate Dagger Peak. I probably wouldn't even go as far to say that I dislike it. Just expected a little more. Just a bit dull, but not bad.
You are now entering the Castle Treasury.
The Castle Stronghold is an amazing realm. Many of its levels have a good standing on this list, but there is a rusty link. Let's just get this out of the way. The Castle Treasury theme is not very good on the console release. Just a lot of clanking and ringing. It's certainly not the worst song I've ever heard in a video game, but considering the standard Gauntlet has, there are some compositions of the song that are much better, such as the one I am playing over this commentary, but the Dark Legacy one is just kind of okay. But the music only carries the weight so far. What about the appeal? It's alright. I do appreciate its uniqueness compared to the rest of the castle. Now, the appeal of this level is very opinionated. Everyone would have this level in a different spot on their own list, but for me, it's a little different. I much prefer the theme Barracks and Armory has. As for the layout, it's really not too bad. Besides having to backtrack to go into the vault, it's pretty by the book, to be honest. There's a start, there's an exit, and there's some stuff in between. It's almost like a maze, but not exactly, if that makes any sense, which I'm okay with. As it should, this level contains a good bit of coin, but it's far from a grinder's dream, as killing a low-tier boss is much quicker and much more effective than replaying the Treasury. If you like the Treasury, that's awesome, but for me, I think I'll bank elsewhere.
You are now entering the Battle Trenches.
When I first thought of this list, the Battle Trenches was in my bottom 5. I'm still rather surprised with the score this one received, but after double checking my math, sure enough, the Trenches narrowly avoided the bottom 10. So before I rip this one a new one, let's talk about the positives. This level has an awesome soundtrack. Now, I know it doesn't compare to certain other songs in the game, but considering the rest of the Battleground songs, I'll take it. This one certainly has things the Fortified Towers doesn't. The cannonballs, the war post, the whole battle scenario is actually quite cool, but still, it's rather bland on the big scale. The layout is fine, until you get to the trenches. After that, this is one of the most tedious, boring, and ugly levels in the entire game, and the length doesn't help. It's so easy to get lost. The only reason it's not ranked higher is because of this certain bug that lets you clip through some of the barriers, skipping parts of the maze. So really, the only reason it's tolerable is over a glitch? Yeah, that's great for the score. Anyway, I'm probably being too harsh, but the trenches don't impress me. Being relieved to find the exit is never a good sign.
You are now entering the Chimera's Keep.
Honestly, the Chimera's arena has potential, but that's about all it's got. It's just kind of plain, especially compared to the rest of the castle. It suffers from the same issue as Dagger Peak. There just isn't enough. Sure, the stairs at the beginning and lowering of the pedestal is cool, but that's about it. If it was during a thunderstorm and we got to see the Chimera fly, it would be so much better. The Chimera is an amazing boss, but his arena isn't half as exciting. Also, it has these 3 barriers that just get destroyed instantly, or at least it seems like they do. Even so, they don't seem to serve much of a purpose. And the music. Oh boy. I think the Chimera's theme is not very good. It's on par with True Scorn's theme, and considering the rest of the castle music, it's just underwhelming. Could have been so much better. The potential it has is quite apparent. So it's not a lost cause by any means, but if I were the Chimera, I would have found a different keep.
You are now entering Arctic Docks.
Now, I know most people give the ice domain a bad rap, and I can almost understand why. But throughout this list, you will find me defending the ice domain on more than one occasion. But even so, why is Arctic Docks so far on this list? You spawn on a boat, which is awesome. This level is beautiful. I'm not going to lie. And so was the next section. And the next. And the next. And the next. Holy crap, how long is this? Yes, Arctic Docks is long. In fact, it is so long that the first release of the GameCube copy in the US would occasionally drop in frame rate and sometimes even crash the game. And there is nothing better than getting halfway through a level and your game crashes. But despite its length, Arctic Docks has some amazing moments, from the boat at the beginning to the mine shafts. But again, it is absolutely absurd how long this one is. If this was 2 separate levels, unchanged, just 2 separate levels, they both would have scored probably in the top 20. But as it stands, no way. The music is quite nice though. It changes about halfway, and both compositions are pleasant. I will say that the Ice Domain is a killer soundtrack. But yeah, if it wasn't so long, it would be a lot better.
You are now entering your worst nightmare.
Okay, you all knew at least one of these levels would be a "what? That level is awesome," or a "what? This level sucks." Well, yep, here it is. Almost everyone I know loves this level. Some would even consider it their #1 pick. But I know a few, like myself, that don't favor it. I am not crazy about this level, and let me tell you why. Let's just get the music out of the way. This level has a lot of songs in it, and only one of them I find decent, the first one. It's rough, yeah, but it fits the level completely. It's an amazing example of metal used correctly within this game. I do still consider it the worst song in the Dreamworld, but it's alright compared to what else I've heard. Now, this is the simplest way I can put this. This level is gross. I don't like fleshy things in games, and the color scheme they use for this red, yellow, and beige, which in my opinion don't look good together. As for the layout, this level is a bit longer than I wish, but perhaps if I liked the theme better, I wouldn't mind so much. But yeah, let's tackle the biggest excuse I get for this level. It's so creative. Is it? Certain points are, don't get me wrong. I do love the beginning of this one with the mouth with Black Death awaiting you. That's quite cool. But after you get out of the tunnel, it loses interest to me. The mixture of the machines and flesh is interesting, but I don't fancy them. I look at this level more like an art piece. It is very good, original, and emotional, but I just don't care for it. Have you ever seen a painting or sculpture that's really good, but you just didn't like it for whatever reason? That's how I feel about this level. But how would I make this better? Honestly, I wouldn't change a thing. This level captured the heart of so many fans, so without it, the Dream World wouldn't be complete. I do respect what it has done, but it's just not my style. I hope you can look at it from my perspective before you blast me in the comments for this. When I first thought of this list, I pictured this level in the bottom 5, but after analyzing every level, it did a lot better than I thought. But I really do have mixed feelings about this level, as I don't like it as an experience, but I admire everything it has done within the fan base. And it is a refreshing change from the rest of the game, I must admit. The Dream World as a whole is refreshing. One of my friends said this level would be better as the Underworld instead of the Borefest we got, and I almost agree. It does have the hellish vibe to me, and my image of hell is more like this than the real Underworld we got in Dark Legacy. So yeah, so maybe I would like it better in that regard. Either way, this level is certainly a nightmare, but my worst, not likely.
You are now entering the Volcanic Cavern.
In case you haven't noticed, we're getting to the levels that I actually don't mind. The Volcanic Caverns are actually alright. I do admire how this level is unique compared to the rest of the Mountain Kingdom, but even still, it's not perfect. The way the camera work in this level always annoyed me for some reason. It only allows you to see the floor and the wall slightly ahead of you. The music is certainly better than the Lost Cave. Pretty traditional, which is never a bad thing. The worst part of this one is the layout. It's not bad after you've played it a few times, but at first, this level is confusing as heck. And if you're new to the Javelin of Blinding puzzle, yeah, it's not the easiest thing in the game. However, this level has no cutoffs, meaning you can always backtrack as far as you want. So if you missed a switch, you can go back and find it. I honestly don't have much to say about it. It's pretty... yeah, it's alright.
You are now entering the Cliffs of Desolation.
So, the Cliffs of Desolation are just kind of average. It's a nice addition to the Mountain Kingdom for sure. Again, not crazy about the Molten Rock theme, but it works better than in the peaks. If Dagger Peak looked more like this, it would have probably scored a little higher. I like the layout of this one. It's a perfect circle from the start as your character continues right all the way around. Very simple, good length, music is nice and ominous. It's just the theme I can't get over. I really wish the Mountain Kingdom just had a little more to offer in terms of visuals. But at the end of the day, it's alright.
You are now entering the Mothership.
I have a real love-hate relationship with the Sky Dominion. I actually like all of the levels in it, but when I sit and analyze them, they never seem to score as high as I would like. The Mothership is a very, very average level in my opinion. There is certainly nothing wrong with it, but there isn't much that really stands out either. It looks alright. It's not too long, the music is nice, but at the same time, there is just nothing that special about it. Besides the runestone puzzle we all raided at least once. And this stupid level door. There's not too much to say. The Mothership is a console exclusive, and I must say the Sky Dominion as a whole does benefit from its existence. I'm sorry for such a short entry, but I'm really struggling to come up with things to say about it.
You are now entering Crystal Mine.
It has come to my attention that Crystal Mine gets a lot of hate, and I wouldn't be lying if I can't see why. I give this level a 6 in every category, as I do think everything is slightly above average, with the Battle Trenches being near a perfect 5, That should give you an idea of a perfectly average level. But why is Crystal Mine so hated? Well, for a level titled Crystal Mine, you really don't get to see much of the mine at all. This level takes place more on the surface of the mineshaft, with the mine's existence being only implied as you venture through. If enemies were affecting the score, it would get extra credit for the ice worms. I do find them quite cool. But for the level itself, it's just alright. I stated before you will find me defending the ice domain a bit more than I probably should. I like the theme, what else can I say? But even so, the Crystal Mine is probably the least pretty of any of the ice levels. Has a lot of dull colors with kryptonite around every turn, so that doesn't help. The music is okay. The second half is quite a bit better than the first, but not my favorite in the ice domain. It's kind of long, but not outrageous or anything. But why do I consider this level better than the mothership? One word, potential. The ice domain could have been the best level in the ice domain without changing too much. If we went into the mine, maybe give it the darkness effect that Shadow Maze has, this level could be badass. Imagine you were in part of the level that took place in the dark ice cave in the mineshaft with the ice worms lurking in the shadows. I mean, the ice worms are creepy as it is, but imagine in the dark. If that was the case, the Crystal Mine would probably be in the top 10. But sadly, that is not what we were given. The level we were given was just kind of average, so we have to rank it as such. I'm sorry, Crystal Mine, you deserved better.
You are now entering Cloud Docks.
Rule of thumb. If your level contains the word docks, it's going to be long as shit. Cloud Docks isn't quite as long as Arctic Docks, but it is still a bit much. One reason this one scores higher is because of the variety. Arctic Docks, while pretty, doesn't have too much going on. Cloud Docks, on the other hand, uses its strength to its advantage. 1 second you're on an airplane one way, the next you might be floating atop hot air balloons. Now that doesn't mean it's perfect. While this is a good level, the length really does take a toll on it. But besides that, the floating platforms are great, the enemies are great, the music is outstanding, no kidding. Cloud Docks has one of the top 5 best songs in my opinion. Certainly the best in the Sky Dominion. Now that I think about it, the SD has some of the best music of any realm. Then again, all the music in Gauntlet is great. What was I saying? Alright, Cloud Docks. Despite its score, I do actually like this level a good bit. But another complaint I have is the amount of cut-offs. Every time you take a floating platform, you probably won't be able to get back. So that's inconvenient, especially if you miss the runestone. Seriously, the runestone here is hidden amazingly. Probably the hardest in the game. But yes, I honestly wouldn't change a thing about Cloud Docks. But unfortunately, there are just better levels in the game.
You are now entering the Dragon's Lair.
So the next 5 entries are boss arenas, so I'm going to try to get them through quickly. The Dragon's Lair is a fine boss arena, given a similar vibe to the Volcanic Caverns as it should. The use of pillars is interesting, certainly adds to the fight. The Dragon's theme, while I don't particularly fancy it, does fit the battle decently. And it is probably the best rendition of the song. It has been done differently in many of the other ports of this boss fight. It is debatable whether or not the dragon is a good boss or not, but his lair as a whole is certainly okay.
You are now entering Vat of the Plague Fiend.
I don't care what people say, I like the Plague. But this video is not about that. His arena is pretty neat though. Makes sense. However, I wish he was more set up differently. Or What I mean is, instead of being like every other boss, where with the boss in front of you, I wish it was more like an Inverse Genie arena. The players stand on a platform in the center of the building, while the Plague and Free move within the acid all around the platform. This would make the boss more unique, and also allow for more creative attacks. But even so, what we got is okay. The attack where he causes acid to push from the vent barriers is great use of the arena in the fight, so it gets extra points for that. The music is decent. I actually like the closing act of the song more than the opening, but as a whole it's fine. I really can't complain. I do think my idea would be better than what we got, but I'm content.
You are now entering Lichs Crypt.
I'm gonna get this out of the way. The Lich is my favorite boss in the game. His arena is alright too, but rather simple. I would have liked to see more things in terms of fight interaction, but his sick intro certainly makes up for this. And it is a crypt after all, so it makes sense that it's relatively empty. The music here is great, perfect for the battle. I could do a video just on the Lich and all his lore that Jesh and I have on him, but his arena is pretty simple. Simple yet sweet.
You are now entering the Altar of Scorn.
As I will talk about later, the Desecrated Temple is an awesome concept. And where better to fight Scorn than his fortress of converted evil. I do wish there was a bit more to look at in this background, but what we got isn't bad. The boss music is great, to me at least, but I know a few that don't care for it, so I guess it just depends on the person.
You are now entering Yeti's Cavern.
It was a tough decision to place this under the altar, but I consider the Yeti's spike attack as arena influence, so that's good. In terms of appeal, it's just a cave, but what would you expect from a Yeti? I appreciate the size of this arena, a bit bigger than most of the other arenas. The music here is fitting, probably the best use of metal in the entire game if you ask me. I also love this pre-interlude for some reason. I don't know why, it doesn't need to be here, but it just makes the arena just that much nicer. But yes, Yeti's Cavern is okay in my book.
You are now entering Haunted Cemetery.
This might be a controversial pick for some, but I consider the Haunted Cemetery to be the worst actual level in the Forsaken Province. Don't get me wrong, it is not a bad level by any means, but look at its competition. My biggest complaint with the Haunted Cemetery is it's a bit long with little variety. The visual theme is good, but like Arctic Docks, it doesn't change much. The music, however, is outstandingly great here. Honestly, all of the music in the Forsaken Province is amazing, with the exception being our next entry. But other than that, it's perfect. Anyway, Haunted Cemetery is just fine. I actually like it. It's just not as good as some of the other levels. I wish they did a bit more with the gravestones in general, but for what it's worth, it does alright.
You are now entering Alien Crop Circle.
So, we haven't done a corn room in a while. I'm actually surprised this one scored higher than the cemetery, as I find Crop Circle to be the second worst liminal coin room, but even so it's absolutely outstanding compared to the Shadow Maze. We're getting to the levels that have more positive aspects than negatives, but Crop certainly has a few of them. The Alien Crop Circle is the liminal space for the Forsaken Province that serves as a maze to gather the coins with the lights of UFOs flying around. The maze is shaped like the Midway logo, which I find genius. The appeal of this place is great. Now, the problems. The music is bad. It's a simple minigame song Midway has used before in other titles, very short and generic. Music has more weight on the score for the corn rooms at regular levels, so yeah, it hurts. Even more so than the song used in the prototype version and the arcade is a modified X-Files theme that both fits better and sounds a lot better. I'll play a portion of the song for you. think that's a lot better than what we got. Now, another thing is the fact that on multiplayer some of the coins are hidden within the maze walls, so that's really fair. But yeah, it's a decent zone.
You are now entering Cloudnine.
Before you go into the comments and complain about Cloud9's difficulty, don't. I've heard it all before. On Gauntlet standards, yes, this level is challenging, especially the first few times. But come on, you guys act like you've never played a challenging game before. I guarantee every level of Geometry Dash is harder than Cloud9. If you don't remember, this is the coin level with the floating clouds. Right, yeah, that one. Basically, I find this level's reputation to be very exaggerated. But they have a point to a degree. Cloud9 is probably the second hardest coin room. Yes, I consider the Shadow Maze harder yet. But let me tell you my issues with this level. The prototype is so much better compared to the one in the final release. Proto 9 has a much bigger and pretty platform. This level is absolutely beautiful either way, but the Proto is even more so. The effects are nicer, the skyboxes are better, the level as a whole is just such a step up. And the level is more fair, as you have time to grab a coin if you miss it. In fact, they are so different that I gave Proto 9 its own scorecard that I will show at the end of the analysis, alongside the score for the final build. No, Proto 9 is not on the list, but I will show where it would place. But how do I feel about the final Cloud9? The one I am supposed to be talking about? I like it. Sure, the Proto is better, but the final is not bad. Like I mentioned, this level is beautiful, the beginning at least. That's another thing. The sudden shift in theme with the record scratch to change the music, genius. The music is perfect for both halves of this place. And the transition is amazing. The feeling is very liminal and epic. If not for the difficulty, I have no complaints about this one. Besides that it's not as good as what we could have gotten. I have no idea why Cloud9 was changed after the 0.137 build, but it was a big mistake if you ask me.
You are now entering Toxic Spire.
Speaking of clouds, what's one thing Cloud9's connected level lacks? For the first level of the Sky Dominion, Toxic Spire doesn't have a lot of, sky. But I can excuse it. Toxic Spire is a good level. Some people consider this level long, and when it comes to mind, long is something I like to associate with it. But it's really not. Actually, Spire is on the shorter side in the long term. The level starts off on a boat speeding across the water that docks on at the Spire, which is absolutely amazing. Perfect way to start off the Sky Dominion. The music for the Spire is also awesome. The first part at least. Once you leave the first arena, it sort of loses itself. So I have to dock points for that. But I really can't complain about the Spire. It's not the best level in the Dominion, but certainly a good one.
You are now entering the Desecrated Temple.
As I've mentioned when talking about the Altar of Scorn, the Desecrated Temple is an amazing concept. A once holy place now corrupted by such evil. It creates a very disturbing atmosphere, if you think about it. Not only does it have an intense feel, but also an intense look. The Desecrated Temple is so good at building suspense to the upcoming fight with Scorn, while the Underworld just seems to be going through the motions. This place really feels like it's trying, and it's doing great if you ask me. The textures are great, the music is outstanding, Seriously, the theme in this level has no right to be this good. For what it is, the level is a very good length. Sort of short, but it's a pre-boss level, so it does its part. One complaint I have with this level is its key to chest ratio, as this level has like 3 keys and 40 chests on 4 player, but the ambience is really great. And who can forget the organist? Yeah, you can't build suspense for a boss much better than that. Besides the layout allowing you to take out most of the place with 1 turbo, I have very little to criticize. So the Desecrated Temple. Yeah, this is a pretty good one. Like, it's very short with just the 2 levels, but I think both of them are fairly decent. I think it's a great theme to fight Scorn in, especially the first time. But yeah, it's very short, there's not much to talk about. But it's good.
You are now entering the Dungeon of Torment.
Really can't get more classic than a medieval dungeon. This level is pretty good. Very simple, traditional. It's a little dark for my liking, but it is a dungeon after all, so it's very excusable. It's not long, in fact it's rather short. The bloody chains add a nice ambience to the place. The caged creature traps are pretty genius, perfect for this level. The music is more so ambience than an actual song, but it is very fitting for this level. Certainly not the best, even for the castle realm. I'm not complaining. I really have no much more to say about this one. It's a pretty good level.
You are now entering the Mystic Pyramid.
So we did it. We've officially reached the halfway point. Everything before this is the lower half, and everything past this is officially the quote-unquote better half of the game. Now, let's talk about the pyramid. The Desert Lands 3rd level is good. Pretty good, I might even say. It's a bit long, but considering the variety of this level, it uses it to its advantage for sure. The Toxic Bellows are a fun little puzzle. The music is pretty cool. It's not my favorite for the Desert Lands, but it certainly does the job. My only real complaint with this level is it doesn't do that much to stand out amongst the other desert levels. Like, it has this lava pit, which is cool, and we have these wooden scaffoldings, which also keep it apart. But if you just played through the desert realm in one sitting, would this part of the game really stand out to you much? It really doesn't for me. If not for this aspect, it would be a little higher, but at this point, competition is high, so one mistake could knock it back. But yeah, good level.
You are now entering the Acid Swamp.
There's a reason I haven't talked about the Forest Realm yet. Besides the Spider Queen, every level is in the top 30. Now, I actually like the Pyramid slightly better than the Acid Swamp, but it scored 0.1 higher, so here it is. In terms of actual levels, the Acid Swamp is my least favorite in the Forest Realm, but even so, it's great. Probably says a lot about the Forest Realm. This place has a great layout. It's very simple and not too confusing, very straightforward, but there's also very devious paths you can take. Also, the theme is just awesome. I've loved forest-themed stuff, just in general. I certainly favor some of the other forest levels over this one, for their appeal, but the swamp does just fine. The dominant green can get a bit dull, as other forest levels have a bit more color that really brings it to life, and the swamp is kind of lacking in that department. But otherwise good. I love the Cantani temples, the huts, and these plant traps that were criminally underused in this game. The music is honestly on the lower side, especially considering the rest of the forest realm. The Acid Swamp certainly feels right, like this level is supposed to be in the game. The forest realm certainly wouldn't be the same without it.
You are now entering the Infernal Fortress.
What? A Battlegrounds level in the top 30? Yeah, I couldn't believe it either. But I actually like the fortress a good deal. I can't even tell you why, but it's certainly the best Battlegrounds level in my opinion. The layout is pretty good, certainly beats the trenches. Speaking of trenches, this level certainly looks a lot better than that one. And the towers while we're at it. Not excessively, but certainly noticeable. The music is pretty awesome here, a great theme for the final level of the game. I honestly don't know how it scored this high, I just like it. Is that not enough? And who can forget this?
Heads up play by Hallie. Ooh, but Peterson really lost his head.
I love this spot. This single spot is not only one of my favorite places in Gauntlet, but in video games in general. No idea why. It's just so out of place yet fitting at the same time. It just stands out to me so much, I love it. The fortress is a fine level. At least I can say the Battlegrounds went out with a bang. So, the Battlegrounds. I'm not the biggest fan of the Battlegrounds. I don't really like them very much. I think they're kind of boring and visually uninteresting. The fortress is alright, but the other ones are just kind of lame. And then the trenches is just... At that point in the playthrough, I'm just kind of ready to be done. So I don't care if I miss things in the Battlegrounds. I'm just glad when they're over, which is never a good sign. They're better than the Underworld, but in a way they're not, because at least the Underworld's only one level, and it's really not that long compared to some of these levels. But yeah, the Battlegrounds is kind of lackluster, but what can you do?
You are now entering Sky Shipyard.
I've already covered much of the Sky Dominion. In fact, this is the last level. The Sky Shipyard is great. It's basically Cloud Darks without all the bullshit. Jumping from ship to ship, the Book of Protection, this awesome shot at the end, just good all around. Still, an improved Sky Dome would fit this level better. A good bit, actually. Actually, that's the real problem with the Sky Dominion. The thing it's named after, the sky, is the worst part about it. They all use ugly greys and clouds. I replaced the domes myself, and they look insanely better. This would be a different list if that was how it was done. Anyway, the shipyard has an amazing theme. I actually like this Cloud Dogs theme a bit better, but it's still awesome. Perfect for the shipyard level. But yes, this one definitely outdoes the toxic airship. If that level were on this list, it would probably be Crystal Mine and Cloud Dogs. I'm not crazy about it.
So, Sky Dominion. As I mentioned, I have a love-hate relationship with this place. It's really the Sky Domes, man. Like, I understand the lore of why it's cloudy, but on a gameplay level, it's so drabby. Like, it's a Sky Dominion. This realm could have been the most beautiful, but we got boring clouds and more boring clouds. Yeah, like if we replace the Sky Domes, this is a much better realm. Just visually speaking. I think it's good puzzle-y. Like, I think the puzzles are good. I like the set. I like the sub-lightning set. I think it's pretty cool. It's a good theme. But yeah, the Sky Dominion certainly could be better. It has some fairly strong levels, but only one made it into the top 30. I want to say as a whole, it's a very mediocre realm, but I really can't complain about it because everything I have a problem with is like really small, like the clouds, for example. But I definitely like the Sky Dominion, but just speaking analytically, it just doesn't perform well.
You are now entering City Ruins.
The Desert Lands opens with one of the most amazing shots in the whole game. I really wish they did more with these koi fish. It's perfect. Besides the awesome introduction, the City Ruins holds its ground throughout the level. Besides the massive difficulty spike, which is actually caused by the forest realm being bugged, not the desert, the City Ruins is just a cool place. Atmosphere is great, good lengths and layout. Music is nice as well. I like the arcade version of the song better, the one I'm playing over this commentary, but the console one is great too. I'm having difficulty talking about these desert levels. Not sure what else to say, it's awesome.
You are now entering the Castle Barracks.
The console-exclusive zone of Castle Arendelle is an excellent addition to the realm. It looks great, sounds great, and is just all around awesome. The layout can be a bit confusing at points with the maze-like navigation and backtracking, but I can excuse it. My only complaint with the appeal is how much lamer the Ice Axe Chamber is compared to the cinematic. KJ certainly missed the phone call on that one. But everything else is stellar. The music is good on both halves, perfect for the castle. and the variety of this level is just great. You really get a good insight of what goes on in the castle's living quarters. I could certainly feast in these grand halls.
You are now entering Frozen Camp.
You're probably asking how Frozen Camp made it this low on the list. A couple reasons. First, that title is awesome. I mean, Frozen Camp? It's just so ice domain. It's a good length, unlike most ice zones. It's fun too. Looks great. Not as good as Arctic Docks, but still great. The music is divided into two parts. The first half is kinda lame, just creepy ice ambience. But the second half is one of the best in the realm. But there is one big thing about this level that kinda sucks. Yeah, that part sucks. But it's fairly short and not too difficult to navigate after the first time. So even with these darn carts, I could see myself chilling here. Ha! You see what I did there? Chilling. You know?
You are now entering Space Station number 5.
What's better than aliens in your liminal space? Teleporters in your liminal space. Space Station number 5 slaps. All I can say. The atmosphere of this place is outstanding, especially for a minigame that takes under a minute. That's the only flaw with the space station. It is way too short, even for a corner level. You don't have time to admire the world around you. The lasers and space clouds are awesome, but you can't see them very well. This one is also ridiculously easy, in my opinion. If you have multiple players that struggle with teleporter ethics, trademarked, you might have some difficulty, but not really. The music is awesome here. It even has vocals, which is interesting. But yeah, this one would score a lot higher if more of the awesome things around you were in shot when you collect the coins.
You are now entering the Ancient Tree.
So, the ancient tree is just cool. Alright? Can we all agree on that? Either way, this level looks great. Great soundtrack. Seriously, the music here is good. The layout is good. It's very straightforward. There's not a lot of places you can deviate besides this little enclave down here. Now, it looks just really great. I don't have much to add on this one. It's just really good. What else do I need to say? This level does kind of look the same throughout, but it's not long enough to be a problem. And it's a good look, so who can complain?
You are now entering Mausoleum.
Here we go, the Mausoleum. From the design, to the music, to the ghoulish inhabitants, this place oozes of greatness and creativity. Part of me almost thinks the ghosts would be better in Ghost Town, because mausoleums are usually places for bodies, and Ghost Town, you know, ghosts. Anyway, I don't think I would actually make that change, I just wanted to note it. This level is slightly long, but nothing outrageous, and it does have a lot of variety, which is great. Like, this chapel is so cool. This level is slightly long, but nothing outrageous. But not only does the appeal change throughout, but the layout seems to slightly vary depending on where you are, which is great. Also, the runestone is hidden well here, which is a plus considering it's early game. So yeah, Mausoleum, awesome.
You are now entering the Abandoned Beacon.
Seriously? The abandoned beacon? Yes. As I mentioned in my crystal mine analysis, the ice domain has potential to be scary. An amazing Arctic horror trip. The beacon is proof of its possibilities, and it looks great. The beacon has a distinct feel no other zone in the game emulates. It's very dark and liminal, a perfect courtroom for the ice domain. The layout and difficulty are fair. It's rather challenging the first time, but after you do it a few times, it shouldn't be much of a problem. The music here is the worst part about this level. It's a good song, but I would have gone with something a little creepier, something a little more liminal and off to just enhance the creepy vibe of this place. But the beacon is an awesome zone otherwise.
You are now entering Ghost Town.
What needs to be said about Ghost Town that has it already? It's amazing. It looks great, decent lengths, decent amount of variety, just all around awesome. The theme is killer. It's not my favorite, but it's certainly a staple of this soundtrack. And who can forget this? Oh come on, you knew I couldn't talk about Ghost Town without putting that in your head. Ghost Town really couldn't do much better. There are just levels I just simply enjoy more.
You are now entering the Erupting Fissure.
The Fissure is the best level in the ice domain, I've decided. The mix of fire and ice in this zone is great. I love the layout, the lamp is fun. The kryptonite has been reduced a tad, but the one thing about this level is its music. Fissure has one of the best songs in the whole game. Seriously, Fissure Part 2 is probably in my top 5, probably top 3 honestly. I have no issues with the Fissure at all. I know most players might consider this one average, or maybe less so, but I will always find time to chill by the lava flow. Haha, see, I did it again, you know, chill. So, long story short, the ice domain needs some work, but as I've mentioned time and time again, I got a soft spot for it. Not sure why, I just can't hate it. And hey, they got one in the top 20. No, but I just really like the polar theme going on. I wish there was a little more diversity between the levels, as I kind of mentioned. But for what the theme is, it's good, in my opinion. I like it. I totally understand if this is your least favorite realm, but to me, it's probably my 4th favorite.
You are now entering the Castle Courtyard.
Running through the castle courtyard for the very first time with my dad is one of the oldest and most cherished memories I have. But putting my nostalgia aside, the courtyard just rules. You get such a good understanding of the castle just from this opening level. It's such a good experience all around. Visuals, awesome. Great music. Layout is great. Not too long, but not too short. This Kraken thing is cool. I could just go on. I really can't find a bad thing to say about Arendelle's courtyard. I will point out that this level has a couple of variations. The Dark Legacy console build is my favorite. This level also thrives with just little details, like the gate being smashed open with the Lycan army breached in. And the mountainous skybox is pretty cool too. But yeah, Castle Courtyard, that's it. It's a pretty good level.
You are now entering the Poisoned Fields.
Technically, I like the Castle Courtyard a little bit more, but both these levels scored the exact same, and I felt like it would be an insult if I didn't put Poison Fields closer to number 1. This level is just so iconic, especially those who grew up on Dark Legacy instead of Legends. And yes, it is pretty cool. The Fallen Farmyard is a great place to start the game. The mill, the river, the windmill, it's all cool. Now, I honestly like levels like the Erupting Fissure and the Abandoned Beacon more, but I feel like it would be a disservice to all the influence this level has. And the music. Yes, the music. The console version is not quite as good as the Lost album track. The bagpipes were cut from it, which sucks, but it's still a great song, and a great level to start off Dark Legacy. Okay, Forsaken Province is a good realm, but very in the middle if you ask me. I know some people think it's like their favorite realm with the favorite music, and I could understand that. It has some awesome levels, but none in the top 10. I mean, the Lichs is my favorite boss, just speaking on the boss fights themselves, not the arenas. But I like this one, and I think most players can agree that the province is a good realm. It's not my personal favorite, but if it is, that's a very valid choice. But I think I'm not super excited about it because I've done it so many times, and to me it's the symbol of you have a lot to go, because it's the first realm. I remember playing arcade, and I didn't have that experience as much because I did it 3rd, not 1st. So I think it might be my bias of I've just done it too much. But as it stands, it's a solid realm.
You are now entering the Temple of the Magi.
In terms of actual levels in the Desert Lands, the Temple of the Magi is the best, in my opinion of course. The appeal in this level is wonderful. Really looks like something with a lot of history that you would expect from a Desert Lands. It's a good length. It's actually pretty short, but considering all you do here, it kind of feels long. Certainly the shortest in the Desert Lands, but it's not too short. One thing about this level is its difficulty. There are a lot of bad guys in this one, but I don't hold it against it. Some might, but if you're playing as a wizard, then you should have no problem. And if you're not playing as a wizard, then what are you even doing? The music here is pretty cool too. Perfectly captures the Desert Lands and all its magic. Oh, by the way, this level is also the focal point of all the dev energy in the universe. So that's something. Yep, I like Temple of the Magi. I know some don't, but what are you gonna do?
You are now entering the Valley of Fire.
What can I say about the Valley of Fire that hasn't been said? This extra short mountain walk, for most players at least, is Gauntlet. Being the first level of Legends, it was this level that introduced the majority of the fan base to Midway Gauntlets. Besides its influence, how does this level fare up? It's good, especially for the Mountain Kingdom. Very short, the shortest in the game, so it loses some points for that. But the music here is absolutely legendary. Certainly the best in the realm, and probably the most iconic song this franchise has ever produced. But yep, Valley of Fire, short and sweet.
You are now entering the gnarled branches.
Forgetting the Spider Queen for a second, the Gnarled Branches is an awesome way to end the Forest Realm. First, that title. The appeal of this place is great. The rain adds so much. The background, it's all good. I have no complaints about the branches. The music is legendary, certainly in my top 5. I was gonna say that the song from Roots is better, but after giving this song another listen, it definitely deserves it. Roots has an awesome song, but there is something about this one that... The layout is good too. It's not as good as Tree, as it has some kind of funny loops, but it's certainly not bad. Going back for the Scimitar is mildly inconvenient, with the elevators mostly, but other than that I have no complaints. Good level all around.
You are now entering the Gauntlet Treasure Room.
This one really puts the liminal in liminal space. While not my favorite, I will admit that this one has the best atmosphere of all the coin rooms. So creepy and off. But seriously, how cool is this reference to the Flanagan Gauntlets in such a manner? But it's the music that really sells this one. The theme was first used for the bonus rooms of the Flanagan Gauntlets, of course. But the theme in Dark Legacy is slightly modified to be way creepier by just being slightly off-key and just off. It really makes you wonder what happened here. I've heard quite a lot of fan covers of this tune, but none are quite as unsettling as the original Dark Legacy one. But yes, I love the Gauntlet Treasure Room. Totally worth the hike through Dagger Peak. My only issue with it is it's kinda short and easy for a character as good as the Minotaur, but atmosphere-wise, this is a great level. But gameplay-wise, there could have been a little more to it. So the Mountain Kingdom's kind of a weaker realm overall. It's just kind of mediocre. I mean, it has a few diamonds in the rough, but I just wish there was more atmosphere with this place. It's just... I understand it's like the theme, but the rocks are just boring to me. Like, I can't get on board with this realm like some people can. I know a lot of people have said this is their least favorite. Speaking in terms of elemental realms, the Mountain Kingdom is probably my least favorite overall. But it's certainly not a bad realm. It's not like it's not irredeemable or anything. It's just, you know, it's kind of mediocre and forgettable at points. But yeah, the Mountain Kingdom, there it is.
You are now entering Wraith's Haunt.
Did you notice besides Nightmare, I haven't even mentioned the Dreamworld yet? There's a good reason for that. The Dreamworld is such a good realm. Even the boss, the Shadow Wraith, is amazing. And even just ranking his arena, it dominates. The title Wraith's Haunt cannot be beaten. Best name for a boss arena in gaming history. The music here is really cool and intense. Really makes you feel like you're at the climax of a dream. The background behind the Wraith is awesome. I'm actually going to show you what it looks like. And this doesn't even include all the other stars and artifacts in the background. My only complaint is its functions, as it's the same as the other boss arenas. Wraith doesn't do anything unique with his arena in the fighting space, but besides that, dream on. So, we've made it. The top 10 Gauntlet levels in our opinion. I'm sure there are a few of those that you would swap out. Just a disclaimer, there are coin rooms in the top 10, but I'll leave a list at the end of the top 10 with only the true levels for those that want to see it. Alright, here we go.
You are now entering Pojo's Henhouse.
The way Pojo is incorporated in this game is just great. A liminal space connected to an alternative dimension. So, this one looks and plays just great. The time limit is fairly tight, but nothing too absurd, especially for an endgame coin room. The cartoony textures just look great. The chicken music is hilarious and perfect. Not something I would listen to by itself, but it's not what it's meant for. Part of the reason I think this level is so good is of course Pojo, but also the concept of this space. This private reality is connected to the haunted house. It really makes you wonder about the lore behind it even more, which coin rooms thrive at. I don't know, it's just look at it. It's quite difficult to express my feelings in words, but just look at it.
You are now entering the psychedelic chamber.
Also called the Psychedelic Stun Chamber, this magnificent mushroom grove is one of my all-time favorite locations in all of media. That's right, not Gauntlet, not video games, but media. If I like it so much, why is it not number 1? It's simple, there's not enough of it. If the Stun Chamber was a full level, it would probably make it number 1, or at least top 3. But why do I like it so much? I don't know. I guess it's just the concept of an acid trip for a bonus room. I love the colors, the dancing shrooms, and trip music. Just a fun place I wish there was more of. It's a pretty easy run, not challenging at all to me, but this is due to its original concept in arcade where, long story short, as a treasure room, you could shoot other players and it would stun them in order to steal their coins. Anyway, yes, love this one. It actually has the same score as Hen House, but I just had to put it closer to number 1.
You are now entering the twisted roots of evil.
I really wasn't planning on this one making top 10, but it actually did, somehow. But I do really like this level. Definitely my favorite forest level. I actually like the Stun Chamber more, but stat-wise, this is a more in-depth experience. The music is wonderful. The layout of this one is just perfect. This is like the optimal level layout for a Gauntlet level, where it's mostly straightforward, but it's got some deviations that don't confuse the player, but offer more than just a straight line. I think it's the perfect forest level because it's not another tree level, but it's not the swamp either. Perfect blend, I suppose. And that mouth over the exit, just stellar. And that's the Forest Realm. Certainly a stronger realm overall. The Spider Queen placing 59 certainly didn't help it at all. But no, I like this realm. I think it's very pretty. I hear some players complain that it blends together really easily and it's forgettable. Kind of how I feel about the Mountain Kingdom. I disagree with the Forest Realm. I don't know if it catches my eye more, that I pay more attention to the details. But I think every level is different enough where it's not a problem. I'll admit branches and tree are pretty similar, but even those two are different enough to be interesting. But yeah, I think it's a pretty strong realm. It's kind of strange. When I think of the Forest Realm as a whole, I think mid, but I like every level in it a lot, so it's just a weird, my mind associates it weirdly. But no, it's a good realm. Actually, I'd probably consider the Forest Realm my 3rd favorite, which sounds crazy, but I don't know, I just think it's a good realm.
You are now entering the Genie's Sanctum.
So we made it to the final boss arena. The Genie's boss arena is my favorite. It looks great. I love the background. The fact that it's a round arena, the only one of its kind, is one big reason why it's up here. Technically, the Genie doesn't use the space, but I'm going to be nice and consider this attack to be arena damage. Only downside is the music. It's not awful, just kind of okay. I do kind of like the race arena better, but the uniqueness of this one totally pushed it up.
You are now entering the Gauntlet Lab.
So we've made it to the last coin room. Happy? I know someone is going to get mad that we included the coin levels. Tough. I consider them levels. I was nice to the Gauntlet Lab when I was first ranking it. You'll see what I mean in a bit. First of all, the mere concept of this level is enough to get into the top 10. Running through the Midway office with skeletons as the devs, the voice lines are legendary and iconic. There are so many inside jokes to this level, such as Stig's skeleton having hair, while the man himself is bald, Mike's hat, and all the KJ references. I get to see the devs having a blast making this one. But how exactly is the challenge? This one is tough, not like Cloudnine or Shadow Maze, but don't horse around. This one is pretty tough on multiplayer, not impossible, but if you try it, you better have a plan. Now, this is where I was nice to it. When ranking the music, I look at the raw audio file for the song. Other ambient sounds and levels don't count, but technically, the dev lines are not part of the song, and are sound bites. The song for the lab is not good on its own. Generic metal beats, but if you sync it up with the dev voice lines, it sounds legendary. I believe that's how the song is meant to be heard, as it's impossible to avoid the dev lines. So, for this level, and this one level alone, I considered the ambience as part of the music and gave it a 10. Call me a cheat, but the lab deserves it. So, with that, I consider the Gauntlet Lab the best coin room in the game. And with the lab being the final level from the desert lands, I must say the realm as a whole was quite strong. I know a fair group that doesn't like the desert realms at all, but after you stop and look at it, it really is a good realm. A lot of people complain about the difficulty curve, mostly coming from armor mains, but it kind of makes sense overall considering it's like the start of endgame. But it's really not bad. Like, I like the brightness. I remember growing up on my little TV, this realm showed up the best just because of how bright it is. So, I think theme-wise it's kind of refreshing because most of Gauntlet is a darker game, and the brightness of the desert realm just kind of gives it what it needs, I think. So yeah, the desert realm is on the better half in my opinion. Now that we've covered all the coin rooms, I just want to say how much I enjoy these levels overall. I really do consider them a big part of the game, probably more than most players. I just find them so interesting and fun. I'll always play a coin room when I cross the door. Heck, even Shadow Maze, which I called the worst coin room. Certainly a big part of what makes this Dark Legacy great. Now, let's continue on to our top 5.
You are now entering Haunted House.
Usually I don't care for spooky or Halloween levels in games where it doesn't fit, but Gauntlet here certainly proved it can be done right. I love the Haunted House, everything from the creepy music to flying books. Really, the detail here is incredible. The layout and the different designs make the house feel really big without the level being too long. This level also houses the door to Pojo's hen house, the player pipe organ, and the mirror race, some of the coolest enemies in the entire game. I feel this really takes advantage of the Dreamworld's creepy factor, and it's just overall a great level. Another thing I really appreciate about the Haunted House is it's really difficult to tell what era the house is from. Is it Victorian? Is it a medieval mansion? It's really hard to say. It's very minor, but it adds a lot to the feeling of uneasiness. The Dreamworld is designed to leave you unsure, in which it does perfectly in this one. In the arcade release, this level uses the Tower Armory Knights, which also really works well, but I'm glad we got the race for this level. Now, I do wish the Knights made an appearance in the Capital Treasury, but I already talked about that. And the dev paintings. Oh, the dev paintings. The only thing holding it back is the music. Now, don't get me wrong, it's great, but there are just songs that are better. Otherwise, I would have given it a perfect 10.
You are now entering Carnival of the Lost.
So, just a disclaimer, all of the next 4 levels have perfect 10s on the scale, and are ranked simply on how much we like them. So, statistically, they're all the best. The Carnival of the Lost, besides having one of the coolest titles of any level in this game, it's just perfect. The music is wacky and is different in every part of the level, which is just so fitting. And it really lets you know what the Dream World is all about. Despite being average length, this level is very diverse with the roller coaster, circus tent, psychic throw, and merry-go-round. The little details really elevate this one to the next level. Death in the ticket booth, the voices in the carnival staff, and other ambient noise, the KJ posters, it's all little stuff like that that makes this zone so much more enjoyable. And ending with the haunted ground sign over the exit is just a cherry on top. Don't have much else to say, it's fantastic on every level.
You are now entering the Tower Armory.
As a kid, the Tower Armory was my favorite level. It's short and sweet. The theme fits the castle, but at the same time it's very different. I love the possessed armor characters. Some of my favorite enemies in the game. The music is top tier. The best song in the Legends realms by a long shot. Part of me still wants to consider this my favorite song in Dark Legacy. The level works as a very simple maze. It contains Black Death and a hail right next to him, so PS2 players can farm death here. And the length of this level makes it even better. The ambience gives off that warm inner castle vibe. The level also contains a runestone and a secret feather. It's the only West Wing level that doesn't have at least one gargoyle, and one of 4 realm levels that doesn't have a gargoyle at all. It's interesting. I have some of my best memories playing this level. It always comes to mind when I think of Gauntlet as a whole. When I thought of this list, this level was certainly in the top 3. I was expecting it to be number 1, but there are just 2 others that cannot be overlooked. So the Castle realm is a very good realm. It is my second favorite after all. But no, there's something about this realm that just This realm really just captures everything good about Gauntlet and puts it in one place. And also, this is probably the most nostalgic realm for me. Obviously, the Dream Realm is my favorite, but the Castle Realm I've carried with me longer than the Dream Realm because growing up, I didn't have a memory card for the longest time. And I rarely got past Mountain Kingdom, so to get to the Castle Realm was a big deal. And even now when I play and I unlock it, it's like, it's a different kind of favorite than Dream World. I wouldn't say I like it more than Dream, but I would say I've liked it longer than the Dream World. But I think gameplay-wise, all the levels are very unique, despite it being inside a castle, and I think it's a true testament of the game design, how they can make this realm, which is literally all indoors except for one level, one of the most unique in the game. So I think with that, I know most players like the Castle Realm. I only know a couple that don't, and I honestly can't see why. To say it's bland that blends together is just not true. It just doesn't. I'd argue other than Dream, it's like the realm that does that the least. So yeah, no, Castle Realm is A+.
You are now entering Maze of Illusion.
Do I really need to say anything on this one? Just look at it. For the last level in the Dream World, they really pushed the engine to its limits, and it shows. It's a place without rules, without answers, without logic. The sky, the mechanics, the path not found, the changing circles, it's just amazing. What else do you want me to say? Now, I know some people don't like the music of this level, and I understand that, but personally, I love it, and it fits such a chaotic place. I also know some people have a problem with this moving floor thing, like it messes with their head, but I think that's part of the experience. I really don't have much else to say. If you ever complete the game, I'm sure you remember the Illusion Maze in some regard. Now, before we go to number 1, I want you to take a second to guess what it is.
You are now entering the Haunted Grounds.
Wait, what? The console exclusive The Haunted Grounds? Seriously? Okay, hear me out. The Haunted Grounds is one of the best ambient levels in all of gaming. Courtyard of the Haunted House really cannot be overstated in its magnificence. This level has created a feeling in me that I have never experienced before playing a video game. It's fear, fascination, attraction, repulsion, confusion, and general awe, all simultaneously. Now, most of you guys who haven't played Dark Legacy in a while are probably thinking, I don't remember feeling that. I hardly remember Haunted Grounds at all. I dare you to play it again. Go through the Haunted Grounds with the lights off and the sound to max. I don't remember feeling this way the first time either, and to be honest, I did forget about the Haunted Grounds my first time playing through. It wasn't until the second time I beat GDL 3 years later did I actually hit me on how unnerving this level is. The music is the best in the game in terms of emotional response, and the details are super fine. The vortex below, the stars, the clouds, the statues of the Legends heroes dead. That scared the hell out of me as a kid. The level ending in front of the haunted house is just one of the best exits in the whole game. And the lantern, a single speck of light within an otherwise godless landscape. It being the house front porch light is just so good. Then you have to raise it up to collect it. I mean, how could you beat that? The emotional response alone I get from this level cements it at least number 2. And everything else was able to push it to the top of the game, in my opinion. And to think this level didn't exist until console is a real shame, but one of the best additions to a game I have ever seen. Overall, the Dream World just cannot be beaten in terms of pure awesomeness and creativity. The best realm in Gauntlet without a doubt. If not for the Nightmare level, which is just my personal beef, it would be perfect. And that's just me. Some people consider Nightmare to be the best level in the game. The Dream World is unpredictable in almost every way, but if it has any rules of its own, it's that it's always awesome and unique. Dream on, friends. Dream on. So that's it. You made it to the end. Before I show you all the realm cards, I just wanted to thank you for watching this until the end. And like and subscribe if you feel like it. I'm thinking about doing a series on lore of each realm, or just some interesting fact videos about Gauntlet. So stay tuned for more Gauntlet Dark Legacy content in the future. Now, here are the final realm cards and scores.